During my first years at Odoo, I've experienced many project failures. And trust me when I say that I wish that to none of you. Fortunately, I've also had my share of successes. Over the years and the hundreds of implementation we manage in the consulting team, we learn from what we did wrong, what we did well also, to come up with a methodology that would guarantee the project success. My name is Antoine, Business Service Manager here at Odoo, and today I want to share with you why this methodology, why endorsing more responsibility will allow you to deliver high-quality project to your customers. A few years ago, we wrote this implementation book, which contains everything there is to know about the methodology. What is a SPOC? How to phase a project? How to staff a team? Today, I won't talk about that. I won't talk about that because the book is online and I believe most of you already master everything there is to know in it. What I want to speak about is how we push forward to simplify and streamline this methodology to guarantee that the projects are going live faster and more easily. So let me start by telling you how today we summarize the project in two parts: the MVP and the second deployment. I can already picture your faces. What the hell is a MVP? A MVP, or minimum viable product, is a system that focuses on the current processes of a company. It means that everything that is new requirement, new functionalities, new developments will be postponed, will be put into the parking lot for a later time. As you probably already understand, the MVP must be simple. After all, don't we say that less is more? Okay, it's time to launch the project. And in this initiation phase, which is crucial for the project as it will shape the whole implementation, you will start to speak about the methodology. What will happen? How things will be done? What you expect from the customer and what the customer expects from you. You set the rule for the implementation. If you remember, when I opened this talk, I mentioned that I've known a lot of project failures. One of the reasons for that is because people were not ready. They were not trained. Sometimes they were not even aware that a new management software was about to arrive. That's why the discussion about change management must happen at the very beginning of every project. This discussion will be made in two steps. First, you need to know if the company faced similar change in the past and how they dealt with it. You also need to assess the impact of the current change and identify who in the company might be the most resistant to the change. Once you have all those information, you can advise on the strategy to adopt. You are the advisor. The customer is the one responsible to apply it. You will advise on the communication, what message to send, who will send those messages. You will also advise on the way to train people properly, so when the time comes, they are ready to use the system. I'll be honest with you. This topic about change management is so vast and so complex that today I can only tease you about how important it is in a project. I will leave the responsibility to Catherine, my colleague, to explain everything you need to know about change management and avoid that it becomes a risk in your future project. So, your customer understands the methodology. He knows that a project without change management will never make it to the go live. But we need more information. What we need is to understand the business. We need the company big picture. The information you will collect will be about what the business does, why this project exists, who are the people you will work with. It's also about the risk, but the success factor of the project. All of this will allow you to make the right decision through the whole implementation. But that's not it. We need to dig a bit deeper. We need to understand how people are working today. You need to collect as much information as possible. It can range from screenshots, recordings of people working, getting data, understanding their issues and pain points. In the end, you must know all the processes of the departments and of the people. But why? Why do we need this information? Is it because we want to quickly improve the way people are working? Is it because we want to change the processes to be more efficient? Actually, not. It's not the right moment for that. You must focus in the MVP to cover what the company is currently doing. During the MVP, so must be simple. So it means all the requirements that are not absolutely needed must be removed, must be put into the parking lot. And there you go. You are ready to design the MVP. But let's go back in time, for billions of years ago. In the beginning, there was nothing. And then one tiny, simple cell appears. It was the beginning of the world we know today. And actually, this cell is to the humanity what the MVP is to your project. It's the minimum required for the company to live, for the company to be able to operate, to do business, and eventually to grow. So, take the time to build this MVP. Take a few days, take a few weeks, so when the time comes, you are ready to demonstrate it to your customer. You will make the demonstration, and your customer will test it, will try the MVP, and will send you feedbacks. Be careful with those feedbacks. It's everything the customer thinks he needs. Be sure to only keep what he really needs. You have validated the MVP. Now it's the job of the SPOC to train the end user so they will be ready when the time comes. When the time comes for what? For the go live. There we go. The company is using Odoo as the main management software. But what have we done so far? We put a new system that covers exactly what the company was doing before, without any improvement in terms of efficiency. Moreover, people are still learning about this system. So why? Why this methodology is leading us to success? It's leading us to success because now we can improve. By deploying quickly the MVP, you can reach this improvement phase faster than ever. And you did something else. You prove to the customer that you are the right person for his project, that there's no one else who will help him more than you to help his company improving and grow over time. But be careful, the job is not done. The hardest part is not behind you. On the contrary, you need to keep proving on a daily basis through the whole project that you are the best person to help the company. So, we need to improve. Where do we start with? Remember, we have this huge list of requirements. We have a parking lot that is full of new ideas, new requests, new developments. How to pick the most priority one? Before choosing, take the time. Make a progress report. A progress report is a project status where you will explain a lot of things to the customer. First, you will make sure that it is aligned with your point of view of the project. What have we done so far? Who is using or not the solution? What have we achieved so far? It's also the right moment to evaluate your collaboration. What can be improved? What should we keep so we can be better for the next things we will do? And you will decide the priority. You will list the most priority in terms of digital opportunities. A digital opportunity is a functionality, a development, a module, whatever, something the customer knows or doesn't know, that will bring the biggest added value to the company in terms of the way they operate today. To decide which digital opportunity you will select, you can think of three criteria. The first one is the impact. The second one is the ease to put it into place. And the last one is how many people will be impacted by this change. And now you are ready to improve. You improve, and then when it's done, you make a new progress report, and you keep working like that until there's nothing left to be done, nothing that brings added value to the way the company operates. So, simplicity in the way we work, the fact that we streamline our task is the path to success. But actually, there's something else. What I've shared with you here are the rules. If you imagine a football game, every game has the same rules, yet every game is different. It's exactly the same for your project. What makes the difference is you, the project manager, and your spirit. This spirit is important because it relates to your responsibility. You are responsible for the project success, but you are also responsible to make decisions. You decide what goes into the MVP. What are the next improvements? When we go live? Of course, your customer has something to say. Is here to challenge you. To challenge you to make sure that you don't forget anything. But in the end, you make the decision. The spirit is also about simplicity. Everything you do must be as simple as possible. From project management to implementation to configuration, keep things simple. And be straightforward. Eliminate everything that doesn't bring added value to the project. A project is also about people. There is you, the project manager, and your priority is to become a business expert, and business expert in the company of your customer. Thanks to all this knowledge that you gain from the initiation phase, you are able to make at all time all the right decision. And then you can translate that into Odoo, not the other way around. But there are other people, the company, the employees, that will be impacted by the system or directly involved in the implementation. Make sure that all your solution, every ideas, every decision you make are well understood. And for that, you need to keep in mind that you have to adapt to the person in front of you. Finally, the spirit is also about your mindset, your attitude. You are here to solve problems, to find solution to what the company is facing. You must also be humble and honest with yourself and your capabilities. What we ask from you is very complicated. You need to understand dozens of businesses, and for each of them, solve hundreds of problems. Let me tell you, it's impossible for one person to do that all alone. You need to ask for help. You need to ask for feedback. You need to ask for peer review, to be challenged, to be criticized about your ideas. So when you come in front of the customer, you know you have the best solution for him. So finally, our formula is completed. We have the simplicity of the way we work. We have streamlined all of our tasks, and we have the right spirit. That's the three A's we need to lead us to success. So now, you have everything in your hand. You know the rules, you know the methodology, but it's up to you to make decisions, to endorse your responsibility about the project, to stop experiencing failures, and start tasting the savor of success. Thank you very much for your attention. We can move on to the Q&A session.
Hello, my name is Gael Thijs. I'm a business advisor at Odoo. I want to thank Antoine for the talks. And now I will ask you some questions from the chatter. So the first question is where we can find all the information, the books regarding the Quick Start methodology.
So actually, this book, well, if you want to come to the office, feel free to pass by, and we will provide you a book. But obviously, and if you want to be always up to date regarding the changes and the continuous improvement we do regarding the methodology, a link has been posted, I think, on the chatter where you will have always the most updated version. So whenever you have a question about the methodology, you can go there.
Okay, thanks. Indeed, it's really important to check the books with the methodology, and it's really good that it's all the time update. So I see here we have a pretty good question from Paolo asking when do you start to charge the customer with this methodology?
Okay, so when we charge will mostly depend on the project. When we talk about SMEs, they don't need an expensive project, and that's what we try to offer at Odoo for SMEs, a solution that is good and affordable for them. So we start to charge when we implement. It means that during the whole sales process, we have here at Odoo, and Gael is one of them, business advisor who are able to understand, analyze, do a demonstration about the software that allow to the customer to be convinced that it's the good solution for them. And at that moment, they will have also a discussion about the budget, and that's this budget that will be used for the implementation. But for bigger project, it might be needed to go already a bit further because the customer wants to be reassured about the feasibility of the project. He wants to have a plan. He wants to know the budget for the whole implementation, and then we will perform ROI analysis. So it's a period that lasts between 3 days to 50 days, depending on the size of the project. Where consultant, so pre-sales analyst, will spend time, do workshop with the customer to understand what they do, and already provide the solution that will be deployed after the project has been sold, and this part is already charged to the customer.
Okay, great. Thanks for all the explanation. So I have another question. Is what is the idea behind this MVP, and also what can the customer what the customer can expect? Like what is the achievement?
So the MVP is there for several reasons. What I've told you during the talk is that it allows the customer to start using Odoo in a very short amount of time after the start of the project. But keep in mind that the customer doesn't know Odoo as we do. So it's still in a learning phase, and the best way to learn is by using the system. So it's also the possibility for the customer to really increase his knowledge about the product, about Odoo, which is absolutely required. Without the knowledge of Odoo, the methodology is useless. So both aspects are very important. And so the MVP, by limiting the number of things that we will deploy in this first phase, will allow the customer to learn the very first thing about Odoo, become already an expert about this part, and the rest of the implementation will be smoother and easier for everyone because we will have a customer who is gaining more and more experience and expertise regarding Odoo.
Okay, thanks. Great. So I have another question. How do you do to bring this mindset, this spirit to the consultant?
So it's not easy. It's not easy because we ask a lot of things from the project manager. It's let's say it's a job that requires a lot of skills, and one of the most complicated is to, I would say, disagree with the customer. At least uh, decide for them. And when you are a project manager, you work with customer, it's sometimes complicated to be in those small conflicts, continuous discussion. But in the end, what is important is to explain why. And I think that's the key. The consultant must first understand why we have this methodology, and why this methodology exists is because we want the project to be successful. And to be successful, to have successful project, sorry, means sometimes taking harsh decision, and who best than us to take them, because we know the software, we learn about the business, we are able to understand the business, and we have an external point of view that the customer doesn't have. Sometimes your customer will not realize that they don't need something, and it's easy to say, okay, we'll do everything. But what happens? The project fails. If you can convince also your customer, demonstrate with a quick demonstration about the software, by having this understanding of the business, it gets easier and easier for the consultant, the project manager, to gently disagree with the client. But you don't have to be afraid to say no, to impose your point of view, because even if the customer is frustrated in the beginning, you aim for the long term, and on the long term your customer will eventually thank you.
Exactly. So, how should we present the progress report? What kind of format? With who?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yes, of course. So the question is, how should we present the progress report, and on what format? With who?
Yeah. So first of all, this progress report is important. It's important because it's an opportunity to bring new opportunities on the table for the company. So in the book, we provided a template of presentation that we use, that contained all the structure of this meeting, that will be supported by this PowerPoint. This is a presentation that you have to do with the sponsor, the people who run the company, who paid for the project, because that's the person you need to convince that Odoo can still help them. It's not because your customer bought a few applications that they will not benefit from other. And it's also your job as project manager to identify that from the very beginning of the project. Keep your eyes and ears open about every information you receive. Ask questions. Try to clarify some things that might not be clear for you. And if you think that there is something your customer can use to improve the way they work, then you will be in a good position to suggest it during the progress report presentation. And what is also important about that is, when you finish a phase, when you go live with functionalities or whatever, you need to decide what you will do next. And with the progress report, you can also clearly identify what you will do next, and why, and again, why you will do a specific the implementation of a feature or whatsoever in the next phase, because this is the thing that bring the most added value to the customer.
Okay, thanks for the response. So we have a question from Ryan, asking for standard deployment, meaning no customization. Does Odoo have a chronicle setup, configuration, methodology?
Again, we use this methodology for all of our projects, for the standard one or some that may require development. There is not, I mean, there are some steps that you must do. When you start a project, you start by the analysis, so the array analysis, or you do it during the kickoff, depending on the size of the project. But then it's important that you do the configuration as the project manager. Then your customer will train himself first to learn Odoo. We have the e-learning, there are many things to learn Odoo. And then we'll use the system to validate if the flows we did match the need of the company. And then there will be the training and the data import. those are the steps that you will always have in a project, and that's maybe the only, let's say, chronological setup that I could mention, because every project is different, has its own requirements. So you will always have something different to do. But if we could about the methodology yesterday, you already know a few things about the SPOC, so the single point of contact. But just to summarize, this person is on the customer side and is key for the project, because this is the person who will centralize everything that you discuss. So he will be responsible to provide you with all the requirements and all the information you need. He will be the person who will be the first to test, to train the end user. So eventually, we know that what we did is good, and he can guarantee that there is a consistency, that the project we do is good and we don't take bad decisions. So this person is absolutely key.
Okay, thank you for your clarification. So I want to thank you for all the information and the talks. So now we have finished about this subject. Let's continue with the other talks on Odoo Live. Thank you.
And for those who still have questions, we can put a link in the chatter where we can meet, so we can continue to discuss about the questions that were not answered. So you will get the link soon, and let's see you in a minute.
Thank you.